Namaskar, good morning. A very warm welcome to all of you. This workshop is for all the students of Sanjog Bansuri Mahavidyalaya, the vocal and the flute students. I welcome you all. Thank you for being here. This is the first Baitak that we are conducting in our new Gurukul environment. We plan to have a lot of Baitak series in this venue. We'll be inviting many eminent musicians to share their experiences. They will come here, perform, and impart their knowledge to all of you. And since this is the first Baitak, I thought we can also involve other students. So that's why we are going live on Instagram, live on Facebook, and live also on my YouTube channel. So people who are joining on Facebook page, please log in to Sanjog Bansuri Mahavidyalaya page. We are going live on FB on Sanjog's page and Insta on my Pravin Godkhindi official page and YouTube also my official Pravin Godkhindi channel. So I welcome all the online viewers too. To begin with, let's start with the Omkara. I hope all of you can hear the Tanpura. So first let's all say Sa. Okay, I'll play the Sa and you follow after me. Sa. Now the Omkara, we start from Pa, lower Pa to Sa. Pa, Sa, Om. So we say O and then Makara. Om. Okay? Start. 3, 4. A little louder. 3, 4. Yeah. You know why we do this as flutists, as vocalists is to first understand the Shruti. You know, when we are singing or when we are playing the flute, it is absolutely necessary that our Sa should merge with the Tanpura. Before going forward, I will show you what is being in pitch and what is being out of tune. Surila and Besurila. Right? Because that is very important. Most of the flutists, you assume that you are in tune. When you are holding the flute, you or the vocalist, you have to understand that the voice that is coming from within you should merge with the Tanpura. This was in tune. What happens if you move the flute inwards or outwards? It's not merging with the Tanpura. All of you can make out, right? There are unnecessary vibrations. So you have to avoid that. All the vocal students also, whenever you sing, make sure that it merges with the Tanpura. Whatever note we are playing, it should sound good to your ears. Only then it means you are singing in pitch. Okay. Now let's try the Saregama Padanisa. I'll play on the flute and you try to sing that and let's see how much your voice merges with the Tanpura. First is Sa. Very good. Very good. But the thing is, when you all of you sing together, it sounds good. But if I ask individually, each one of you to sing, then the voice will be shaky. So this is one important exercise for both vocal and flute students. Always listen to your voice, whether it is merging with the Shruti. Okay. So now coming to the ragas that we generally perform. Out of the notes that we sang now, the simplest two ragas, which most of you are already aware, are Bhupali, Bhoop, or Hamsadhwani, right? So the notes for Hamsadhwani are Sa, Re. Yeah, so there is no Dha, there is no Ma. It's called Audava Jati. There are only 5 notes. Okay, so the Arohan, the ascending and the descending are the same. So whenever you sing Hamsadhwani or whenever you play Hamsadhwani, you have to understand that the Sa, Pa, each one of that note has a pancham in that. Like for Sa, there is the 5th note which is Pa, right? Sa, Pa. Now if you make Pa as the Sa, then pancham of Pa is Re. Right? If you make Pa as the Sa, then the pancham of Pa is Re. That is the 5th note. Likewise, if Ga is considered as Sa, which will be the pancham? Ni. So in Hamsadhwani, you have all notes which are related to each other. So it is relatively easy for you to be in tune with the same Tanpura, because the Tanpura is giving the 1st note and the 5th note primarily, but there is also Gandhar in the Tanpura. There is also Nishad. There is also Rishabh, if you listen to it carefully. So you have to tune. Whenever you play Hamsadhwani, make sure all of your notes, Sa, Re, Ga, Pa, Ni, are in tune with the Tanpura. So if Pa is Sa, so Pa becomes Sa, then Re becomes Pa. Now likewise, if we make Ga as Sa, so listening to the Tanpura, you have to adjust the Gandhar of your flute. Or whenever you are singing, Sa, Re, Ga, it should merge with the Tanpura. And most importantly for the voice, for the vocal students and the flute students, is to have the stability in your breath. Whenever you breathe out, whenever you hold a note, it should be very stable. Try to sing Ga now and try to hold it in a straight line. 3, 4. Ga. Once again. Ga. That's the note. Ga. 3, 4. Yeah. Now let's all sing Pa and hold it for a long time. Pa, that's a Pa. 3, 4. So whenever you have to sustain a long note, take a deep breath and then exhale uniformly. There should not be any, it should be like a very smooth highway, like nice road, not like, roads in Chickpet with lots of humps and craters. So it should not be shaky like that. Okay, let's all sing Pancham. 3, 4. Yeah. So all of you, whether you are vocal students or flute students, you have to practice this daily. Try to hold the note, uh, sustain the swara without any deviations. Okay? Will you all practice that? Okay. With the flute or without the flute, you have to train your vocal cords to sustain it, because it helps even for flute students. Many professional students also have that problem. Whenever they blow, there's a vibrato in it, like that. So that is you should avoid that. That is not useful for classical music always. Okay? Your notes should be as stable as possible. The vibrato comes at a later stage. When you want to add effect to your raga, that is when we purposely add the vibrato. But as flute students, all your notes have to be stable. The other advantage of practicing this is you will be able to judge whether you are in pitch or not. If your note itself is shaky, then you will not be able to understand whether you are singing in pitch or you are out of tune. Okay, so you have to practice this. This is nothing but pranayama. Inhale and exhale in a uniform way. And the other thing that helps is your lung power, and the ability to hold a note for a longer time increases by time. So these are two things that you need to do. Okay, practice the arohana and avrohana by holding the note and sustaining it for a long time, checking continuously whether you are in pitch or not. This is common to all the music students. Okay, so I also briefly described the relationship between the notes. This is one exercise that all of you can try. Out of the 7 notes that you know, sa re ga ma pa dha ni, for every sa there is a relationship between sa and ga, which is the 3rd note, and then sa and pa, which is the 5th note. So you have to try and make a circle of making different notes as sa. Like for example, I said pancham as sa. So if pa is sa, then which will be the ga? Ni, right. So ni will be ga. So similarly, from pa to pa, you will get pa da ni sa re ga ma pa. You have to find all the shuddha swaras in taking pa as sa. So re will become pa of pancham. Likewise, if you make dha as sa, for example, which will be the pancham? Which is the 5th note from dha? Raise your hands and say. Yeah? Ga, right. Which will be the Shuddha Gandhar of Dhaivat Sa? Correct, Komal Re. So, now coming to that thing, in the beginning we sang only the Shuddha Swaras between Sa and Sa. There are also Komal Swaras, all of you know, right? So there are 5 Komal Swaras and 7 Shuddha Swaras. So in total, how many Swaras do we have in classical music? 12. We have 12. So for the senior students, what is important is that you have to know the relationship between all these 12 notes. Right? So the Komal Swaras that we have are Komal Re, Komal Ga, Komal Dha and Komal Ni. And Ma we refer to Ma as Tivra Ma, because rest all notes go below their position from Shuddha and become Komal. Like for example, Ga is here. Ga, Ga. So we lower the Shuddha Ga and we get the Komal Ga. Likewise for Shuddha Re, for Shuddha Ni and Komal for Shuddha Dha. Only for Shuddha Ma, the note goes higher and becomes Tivrama. That is why we have a separate nomenclature for it. We call it Tivrama or Pratimadhyama. Rest all the other 4 notes, they go down from their Shuddha position and become Komal. So we have a combination of 7 Shuddha Swaras and 5 Komal Swaras. So these all together we call them as chromatic scale. So starting from Sa, you have 2 Res, 2 Gas, 2 Mas, Pa, 2 Dha and 2 Nis. So all put together we call them chromatic. So all the senior students, you should be able to play the chromatic notes. This is what you need to practice so that you get an understanding of how apart they are, how the Komal ray is away from the Shuddha ray, and the Komal Ga, how different it is from Shuddha Gandhar, how away it is from the Sa. These are all things that you need to include in your daily practice. This is apart from the ragas that we teach. This is for daily practice, just like a warm-up before you do the gym or exercise or weightlifting, warm-up exercise. Now, for vocal students, as I mentioned, you have to practice the sustains. Along with that, you have to practice something very important, which is called the means. Mean is a glide from a note to the other note. It's like a semicircle. So from what we sang in the beginning, the Omkara, it was a glide from Pa to Sa, right? Pa, Sa. So there was a continuity there. That itself is called meaned. Okay? So we need to practice these means from different swaras, from Sa to Pa, Sa to Dha. So the mean should be as gradual as possible. Let's try and sing Sa to Pa, Sa to lower Pa, okay? We earlier sang Pa, Sa, now we are singing Sa, Pa. Okay, let's try. 3, 4. Sa, Pa. Now let's try and sing Ga, Sa. Pa, Ga. Pa, Re. Ga, Ni. Re, Pa, Pa, Sa. See, it sounds so beautiful, right? Claps for all. All of you are singing beautifully. But individually also you have to sing this. Now that you know how to sing a mean, try to sing means from different notes. It can be one octave apart. You can sing from lower pa to higher pa, lower sa to higher sa. Even the flutist, you need to practice this, as gradual as possible, both the ascending and descending. These are called means. So there are various ornamental pieces that we use to develop a raga. One of them is meend, which is very important. There are others like gamaks, different kinds of gamaks. Then we have murkis, we have khatkas. So there are various things that we use while performing a raga. Now, I will not go into the details of the other ornamental things that we use, because each ornamental description requires a lot of time. Like for gamaks, there are various kinds of murkis that we use in our gharana. So, and we have a tradition that we follow, that was started by my father, Pandit Venkatesh Godkhindi ji, of teaching the children about the basics of these ornamental, because these are the things that will help you present a raga in a better way. If you are equipped with these ornamental pieces like meend, gamak, murki, khatka, then to bring out the bhava or the emotions in a raga, how judiciously you use these ornaments decides how good your presentation is. It will help you bring out the emotions of the raga better. Without the means, without the gamaks, it will sound very bland. Okay, so these are the things that you have to practice every day. As I said, these are more like warm-up exercises, and this is common to both vocal students and the flute students. So one simple gamak is, I will show one, and rest you all have to figure it out yourself and practice at home. Like if you have to play sa and re, sa, re, there are two notes, right? Sa, re. So using a gamak means using the third note between sa and re to beautify sa, re. So instead of singing sa, re or sa, re, which is a meend, the gamak would be sa, re. So what we did, we used ga intermediately. Between sa and re, we go to ga and come back to re. There again, sa to ga and ga to re are two means. One is ascending, one is descending. So sa to ga is a two-note meend, and ga to re is a descending meend again. Sa, ga, re. But when we are singing as gamak, we don't pronounce ga. We just go, touch and come back. Sa, re. Right? So sa, if this is sa, this is ga, and this is re. Try to imagine in your head, you are going from sa till ga. You just touch it and then come back. Sa, re. Likewise for other notes, like if you are singing ni to sa, ni, sa. So ni, sa, which was the note that I used between ni and sa? Re. So that is the basic principle of gamak. You always go to the higher note and come down. So if sa and re are 1 and 2, then the formula would be 1, 3, 2, right? But that third note has to be very, 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 very soft. You just it has to be a literally touch and go. That is why the vocalist doesn't pronounce that, and likewise the flutist also. You just go till ga and then come back. Okay. So now I combine ni, re, sa and sa, ga, re. Like that you can play the entire octave or the scale of the raga. Now for the flutist in particularly, what you have to observe is where to use your tongue, where to say the tutkar. We say the tutkar where the vocalist pronounces the swara. When a vocalist sings sare, he says sare, right? Tu, tu. So that second tutkar comes somewhere between ga and re. Tu, 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 tu. That's how the gamak is emphasized. So many speeds you can play the gamak, slowest till the fastest. So this is one demonstration of how you can use the gamak in ragas. So if you play it slowly also, it can be part of a alap. If you play it fast, then it can be part of your paltas or tans. So one basic principle is to use the next note. Similarly, in descending, if you have to play a gamak between re and sa, there again you use the higher note, not the lower note. So re sa will be re sa, re sa, re ga sa. Then between sa and ni, sa ni, sa re ni. So we go to re and ni, right? So in ascending or descending, we always use the higher note as the intermediary. Re sa ni pa, re sa ni pa. If you closely observe any vocalist while singing the gamak, you can make out that his hand gestures are like that only, like the gamaks. You can picturize, someone preparing a jalebi. So your gamak should be like jalebi. Pa ni sa re ga. So your jalebi is ready. So it should be as sweet as your jalebi. So the gamaks have to be of two means, and when they are strung together, they become. It should move like a circle. So the flutists also have to sing inside the gamaks. Only then it comes out on the flute so naturally. Okay, so when you are practicing meend perfectly, then your gamaks also become very effective. But you also have to practice the tutkar, where you have to use the tongues, right? So I think I will stop the my discussion about means gamaks here. If any vocal students have any questions, they can ask now, so that we can move forward with the flute masterclass. I just opened with the basics of which is common to both flute and vocalist, because we also have some young vocal students here. For their benefit, I started with the basics. So any questions online also, let me know. Any vocal students from here, if you have any questions pertaining to what I discussed now, or anything that you in general, you can ask. If there is anything, if I know, if I'm able to answer, I'll definitely answer. Okay. One Mr. Govind Chandra is asking, having trouble in playing with tal, how to practice that? Okay. See, when it comes to tal, let me see if I can. I've just put a slow teen tal now. Tin, tin, ta, 13, 14, 15, 16, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So the numbers that I'm counting is in sync with the tal. When people generally refer tal, they also mean the tempo or the laya. So all of you, including the music students, the tabla students, you have to sense the distance between two matras. 1, 2, 3, 4. One good exercise is 5, 6, 7, 8 is the distance between the hands when you choose a tal. So every time if your swing of your hand is the same, then your laya will be intact, right? So every time it should go the same distance and in the same speed. That will help you be in the tempo. Don't rush. Listen to the tabla and play. Okay, so one way of practicing this is listening to the tal and then clapping. The other way is to pronounce the theka itself along with the machine. And if you're playing flute or if you're singing, try to sing your phrases in tempo. There again, for flutists, you have to plan your breath. If you can play 3 notes in this tempo, then take the breath exactly between the third and the fourth swara, so that you remain in tempo. So teaching laya is slightly difficult. This is something that it has to be inborn, but it can definitely be practiced. But in general, most of the students have a tendency to rush. You always go slightly ahead of the tal. So always try to control your speed, which helps you in being in laya. How about 2-note gamakas is another question. How to make voice steady is another question. And sir, please demonstrate gamak tans. Okay. So when you say 2-note gamaks, I presume you are asking if you have to play a gamak between sa and ga. So depending on the rag that you're playing, you can use either shuddhma or tivrma. So sa ga or pa. Sa ga or dha sa, dha re sa, right? So that is how you play the gamak for 2 notes. If they are not adjacent to each other, you still use the higher note. But if you are asking how to play gamaks consecutively, like ni sa and sa re, ni re sa ga re is the gamak. Sir, should I learn gamak or meend first? I suggest you learn the meend first because that helps your gamaks. Sir, can you recommend a particular practice routine to improve corrections of pitch? As I showed in the beginning, try to move your flute outwards or inwards to understand whether you are in pitch or not. If you're not in pitch, then automatically you'll get unnecessary vibrations, which will indicate that you are out of tune. First, you have to stabilize your note, and then make sure that there are no vibrations. Okay, so that is how you practice. Any tips to play serious ragas like Darbari? Practice. Guruji, please tell how to play Tan Gamak with meend in flute. As I showed earlier, so once you practice the slow gamaks, then we use the same things to create Tan patterns. So once you practice the slow gamaks, then you can create patterns out of it, depending on the rag and depending on how fast you want to play. But basically you have to practice the gamaks in all speeds. Yeah, anybody from here who want to ask any question? Can you give him the mic? Yeah.
Hello. Sir, movement between pa and ma and ma to pa will be difficult for beginners.
Yeah.
So, is there any trick while practicing for gamak and meend for ma and pa movement?
See, when you are playing ma and pa, essentially we open all the holes for ma. I'm assuming you are speaking of Tivra ma, right? Or Shuddha ma?
Shuddha ma.
Shuddha ma also. Shuddha ma, at least you have an advantage of holding the flute, right? For Tivra ma, you have to open all the holes. So, but for pa, you have to close all the holes. So, there are a couple of techniques, whenever we play the Tivra ma, in the initial stages, you can use your last pinky finger to support the bamboo so that it doesn't fall off when you're playing the Tivra ma. Ideally, whether you are playing Shuddha ma or Tivra ma, make sure if after the Madhyam, if you're playing Pancham, you have additional support so that the flute doesn't slip off or move away from the position, because then again the Pancham will become Besura, right? So when you're playing ma, there are some times when we use this finger just to make sure that the flute is in place, or this finger. But gradually, as you keep practicing it, then you won't need it because the flute becomes more and more stable. And one advice is, don't let your hand not be very rigid on the flute. If you are holding it very tight, then there will not be flexibility between ma and pa, because you have to open and close. They have to be very light, sitting light on the flute. The more you stress, there's a lot of stress here, then the chances of not being able to close Pancham is high. Okay, so with relaxed hands, just practice ma pa ma pa ma pa. Initially, you can use this to support. Gradually, it will you'll be able to play it without the help support of the last finger. Okay.
ಸರ್, ತೀವ್ರ ಸುರಗಳನ್ನು ನುಡಿಸ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಪಂಚಮದಿಂದ ಮೇಲೆ ನುಡಿಸ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಕಷ್ಟ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅದು ಹೇಗೆ ನುಡಿಸ್ಬೇಕು? ಮಧ್ಯಮದಿಂದ ತೀವ್ರ ಸ್ವರಗಳಿಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ, ಮಾಯಿಂದ ಪಾಯಿಂದ ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಕಷ್ಟ ಆಗುತ್ತಲ್ಲ, ಅದು ಹೇಗೆ? ಬ್ಲೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಕಷ್ಟ ಆಗ್ಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ ಸರ್.
ಅದು ಈಗ ಕೆಳಗಡೆ ಸಪ್ತಕಕ್ಕೆ ನೀವು ಎಷ್ಟು ಗಾಳಿ ಹಾಕ್ತಿರೋ ಅದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಗಾಳಿ ಹಾಕಿದ್ರೆ ಮೇಲಿನ ಸಪ್ತಕ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಮಧ್ಯಮವರೆಗೂ ಒಂದು ಉಸಿರು ನಿಮಗೆ ಒಂದು ಫೋರ್ಸ್ ಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಮಧ್ಯಮಿಂದ ಮೇಲೆ ಹೋಗಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ತುಂಬ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಹಾಕಿದ್ರೆ ಬೇರೆಯೇ ಸ್ವರ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಆ ಸ್ವರ ಎಷ್ಟು ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಗಾಳಿ ಹಾಕಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನು ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟೀಸ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಎರಡು ವಿಷಯ ಇದೆ. ಒಂದು, ಬೆರಳುಗಳು ಸರಿಯಾಗಿ ಎತ್ತಬೇಕು, ಸರಿಯಾಗಿ ಮುಚ್ಚಬೇಕು. ಎಲ್ಲಾದರೂ ಮಧ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಗಾಳಿ ಹೋದ್ರೂ ಆ ಸ್ವರ ಸರಿ ಬರಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಎಲ್ಲ ಸಪ್ತಕದಲ್ಲೂ ಎಷ್ಟು ಗಾಳಿ ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಪೂರ್ವ ನಿಯೋಜಿತವಾಗಿ ನೀವು ಅದನ್ನು ಅಭ್ಯಾಸ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಈಗ ತುಂಬ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಹಿಂಗಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಜನಕ್ಕೆ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಬರೋದೇ ಹಾಗೆ. ಪಂಚಮಕ್ಕೆ ಭಾಳ ಅದು ಹೈಯರ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಅಂತ ನಾವು ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಗಾಳಿ ಊದಿದ್ರೆ ಬೇಡದೆ ಸ್ವರ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಪ್ರಮಾಣ ಬೇಕೋ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ಸೊ ವಾಟ್ ಐ ಆಮ್ ಸೇಯಿಂಗ್ ಇಸ್ ವೆನ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಶಿಫ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಲೋವರ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಟು ಹೈಯರ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವ್, ಇಟ್ ಡಸಂಟ್ ಮೀನ್ ದ್ಯಾಟ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಬ್ಲೋ ವೆರಿ ಹಾರ್ಡ್ ಇನ್ ಟು ದ ಫ್ಲೂಟ್. It's just a tinge more than what you blow in the lower octave. That will automatically get you the higher octave. So the other way to practice is get sa and sa right. So I'm not putting a lot of air, just a little bit of air, then you get the higher octave. If you practice it correctly, then you should be able to get both the octaves also. You know, at one particular point of blowing pressure, you get both the octaves. That is also there in flute. But what we as flutists try to get is the clear tone. When you are playing the higher notes also, there should be very less hiss. It should not become very harsh on the ears. So one tip that I generally give is, when you are playing the higher notes, try to squeeze your lips a little more and make the jet of air much more finer than what you're playing in the lower octave. You know, your lips are wide, make it a little more like when we are gardening our trees. If you want the water to reach to a longer distance, then what you do, you use your finger and increase the jet spray, right? If you remove your finger, the water will fall down there only. If you put a finger, then the water will go to a longer distance. That's the same principle in the flute for reaching higher octaves. So you actually have to squeeze your lips and make the air a little more finer. Okay, that will help you get the higher octaves easily.
One question, sir. Just related to the same thing. So, will there be a change in the position we blow in the lower octave and the higher octave, or will it be same, at least when we blowing position point of view? If you can just emphasize that.
The position has to remain the same. Only the pressure, air pressure, as I mentioned, the jet, it should go more. All this is provided that the flute you are playing is tuned perfectly. Okay, and you hold the flute in such a way that all the notes are in tune in that same position. You don't have to change your flute position at all. That is the perfect stance for the flute. Like you have a perfect stance in cricket. Nowadays they don't observe, they stand any which way and hit a six. That's a different thing. But there are certain rules of holding a bat, you know, the certain rules of holding the flute, so that you get the maximum resonance, that you get the you know, the quality of the sound is good, and it should be in tune, which is very important. So in the same position you should be able to get all the octaves, all the swaras right. So let's take a few more questions from online. Does Carnatic music use mean? Of course, yes. Okay, a flute is already tuned. Use of tanpura is something I didn't understand clearly, sir. Asking from a Carnatic flute is perfect. So See, this person, he says, Ramesh, that he is a Carnatic flutist, and why do we need the tanpura? Is a question that is asking. Flute is already tuned, but yeah, the flute is tuned by the flute maker according to his blowing, according to his lip position. But when you take that flute from the market, from that person, you have a distinct blowing force. You have a different way of putting the flute here. So everything matters. Ideally, for all flutists, whether Carnatic or Hindustani, it's ideal that you sit in front of the flute maker and get the flute done according to your blowing, your position. But for beginners, most of the flute makers, they manufacture flutes which we call as middle blowing. So the hole is the blowing hole is closed partially, and then that is considered to be as the standard. So when you purchase a flute, try to use a tanpura or a standard note indicator, so that you choose the flute which is in tune according to your breath and your blowing position. So the flute is already tuned, but it has to be played tunefully, so you need the tanpura. That's my answer. Can we play fast gamaks without strokes, without using tongue? Yeah, you can. After a point, you don't need to use your tongue. Without using the tongue also, you can play the gamaks. Sir, please talk about circular breathing. Dev Chandra. Okay, I will talk at the end of the session about circular breathing. How to take a mean from Ma to Pa without pancham hole? Is it possible to practice, or is it a limitation? Hari Krishna. See, many flutists use this technique of moving the flute outwards to increase the pitch. The basic principle is, if you are holding at a middle blowing position, and if you move the flute outwards, so you get almost one semitone of difference. The same principle without the thumb hole. So there is a possibility that you can play pancham, but it might not be accurate every time, and the tone changes. There's a lot of hiss, but it's only a eyewash that you are able to play pancham without the thumb hole. With the thumb hole, it becomes. So if you're playing ragas like Mia Malhar, so with the thumb hole, it becomes very pleasing and authentic. So that is the advantage that we have with the thumb hole. And since we are discussing this topic, I would like to mention here that this thumb hole, what I'm using right now, and all my students and people from my gharana use, we should give, the whole flute fraternity should give credit to my father, Pandit Venkatesh Godkhindi ji, who created this beautiful additional hole for the flute, without which many ragas sound a little limited. Without the thumb hole, the Mia Malhar would sound. So there's a cut there between re and pa. So there's a complete continuity between lower pa till upper pa. So without that, it will be difficult. And basically for me, because I've grown up using this since my childhood, I cannot imagine a flute without the thumb hole. So and people who have, I know a lot of students and some even professional flutists who have now started using the thumb hole. I expect them to give credit to my father, because he was the first one to use it in Hindustani classical music. So, and it's not only about meend. There are several things that we can do with the thumb hole, which we have been doing. We've been practicing and performing. All my students of the Godkhindi Gharana, they all use the thumb hole in a particular way. And there are a lot of exercises, especially for the thumb hole, which you cannot get just by looking at my YouTube videos. It's better you join our classes and learn it from us. So yeah, that was about the thumb hole. Here I would also like to mention about the Tivr Madhyam hole that was created by the late legend Pandit Pannalal Ghoshji. So that Tivr Madhyam is another additional note that you get below the lower pancham. So many people use their thighs to close the lower Tivrma. Some people use the key, but I prefer to use it how Panna Babu used to perform, using the fingers only. So I have two different styles, but some people, they play the throughout with the same style of holding the flute. I think I've spoken a lot about that. Now, yeah, I think I have covered all this here. Can we practice raga at any time, as Hindustani music has Samay Chakra? Yeah, actually, Hindustani music does have Samay Chakra, which means we follow the Prahar system. And incidentally, I have written a novel in Kannada called Prahara, Haduva Gadiyara, which deals about ragas being sung at the appropriate time will have more effect on the performer and the listener as well. So I urge all of you to read that in Kannada. And good news is that the translation of the same novel, which will be coming in June, titled as Prahara, The Singing Clock, written by me in English. So it will be launched in January. You can read that also. There's a lot of information about time and raga, and what are the, how it is beneficial, and why we should follow that. But nowadays it's difficult. At least the concerts, most of them happen in the evening, so we only get to perform evening ragas. But there are certain night concerts where we play the night ragas and the early morning ragas. But for practice, there is no limitation. I think you can practice any raga anytime. But if you want to enjoy and get involved in the raga completely, it's advisable to practice night ragas in the night and morning ragas during the morning. It will help you get into that mood. So, like for example, now it's around 12, right? So we can play some sarang. See, when you listen to these, thank you. So when you're listening to these notes, automatically you feel that, mid-day heat. There's a lot of energy in that and everything. But if you play like this, you won't. This is not the natural feel that you get when you're in the morning. You're rushing to your office, or you're trying to rush to the canteen to have something, and you're hungry, and your boss is angry with you, and all these are happening during the day, right? Around 11 a.m. or 12 noon. You don't play a raga like Darbari there, because Darbari is after 12. You want to sleep, you want to relax, and you want to dream. So Darbari is for night. That's how I think the notes are like that. They're natural. So there's a lot of study that has happened while the our ancestor decided on the Raga Samay Chakra. But well, in the modern ages, I have many experiences when people come and say, we do yoga listening to your bhoop in the morning, and we feel energized. Whereas bhoop is a night raga, but it helps them. So it's okay. I mean, so so it's a debatable topic right now, because the other thing, the other musicians, the other day they were saying that you're playing Yaman in the night here, but it's morning in America, and they're listening to you live online. So it's a morning melody for them, and they're still enjoying. So we can argue on that, but I personally feel comfortable with the Samay Chakra. I would like to go with that. But for practice, yeah, you can practice any raga anytime. How to play Kharaj Ma, I already showed how to play the Tivra Ma or the Shuddha Madhyam in lower octave. How to making blowing bold and strong. Blowing bold and strong, there are a couple of tips. You need to first stabilize your sa, stabilize your notes. Stabilize means it should be straight enough. And then to get more resonance and a little more power, turn the flute little inwards and blow a little harder, that's all. So what happens when you turn the flute inwards? The pitch goes down, and then when you blow harder, the volume increases and the pitch also comes back to its original thing. So that is one technique of getting a powerful, bold, neat and clean, yet tuneful sa. Yeah. So I think I've answered most of the questions. The circular breathing, I'm going to do it in the end. Go ahead. How to identify the notes of the song. Yeah. So for that, you need to develop this, what I call as the sense of swara. You know, if I say sa, which note is that according to you? Listen to the tanpura. Wait. Sa, right? Anybody? Which ma? Tivrama. That is the sense of swara you have to have. So from sa, re, ga, ma, pa, ma. That ma is closer to pa. So it is Tivrama. Ma is Shuddha ma, Tivrama, pa. So with a reference like sa, which note is this? Sa, da. That's Komal Dha. So this sense of swara when you develop, that's why in the beginning I said you have to practice chromatic notes so that you will know the distance between sa and that particular note. Once you get that, then you can identify the notes of any song, right? Now all of you know the rhyme twinkle twinkle, right? Twinkle twinkle little star. So for this, what will be the swaras? Oi, sa sa. Ta ra 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 ra. Sa sa pa pa dha dha pa. That's how. What swaras are there? Raise your hand and say. Ta ra 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 ra. You'll know the song as soon as I play that. Sa 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 re ga. It's straightforward, right? That's how you identify the swaras. If you know the sa re ga ma pa dha ni sa, then identifying the notes becomes easy. Okay, any other questions? For that, you have to be born with the talent of remembering. You have to memorize the E. Now, for example, if you listen to this is E, you have to store this in your mind throughout the day, throughout your life. With keeping E as reference, when you listen to another song, you should be able to say if that is Re or Ga, it starts. Then, if it is, say, Komalni, according to the song there, then it becomes D. The song is in D. So this we call as, you have to be pitch perfect from within. Some students have that. If their mind is always in C. So for them, as soon as they listen to any other raga or this thing, they can say which pitch they are singing. But with the help of flute or any other instrument, you can always compare and you can say. Quick, huh? It depends on the student how fast he can pick up the instruments and what is his ability. But it's always good to know a percussion instrument along with the main instrument. There are many vocalists, many instrumentalists who have at least the basics of percussion, basics of tabla. Earlier it used to be a mandatory thing. All the gayaks had to play the tabla because that makes them perfect in laya also. So it is always advisable, but nowadays many students they shift genres also. They learn flute here, they learn piano and guitar somewhere else. They play the drums and whatnot. So nowadays the generation is so fast and they can pick up and they have that ability to assimilate so many different things and do justice. So it definitely depends on the child and the parent. But advisable would be to stick to one particular genre. If you're learning Hindustani flute, then it's better to learn Hindustani tabla. It helps because it complements each other. Yeah. Just take the mic, no, so that the online students also can listen to your question.
So I was seeing a video where you spoke about Raga Chikitsa or what you were saying, the Samaya thing.
Yeah.
So in yoga we have something called Nada Yoga where people are treated for their whatever symptoms in their life problems with just sounds and vibration, mantra kind of a thing. So with classical, Indian classical music, Hindustani or Carnatic, whatever it is there more work on this? Has someone worked on this aspect of just the treating part of it, just not as a performance? Because I come from more interest of yoga thing,
Yeah,
so I'm
see,
just
there,
asking.
there has been a lot of work going on. Many people have done that, so many people have documented that. And I have been part of such projects where recently I met that lady in Germany, Kirtana. She wrote a paper on the effects of music on the brain. So I recorded a few ragas on her request, Bimpalas, Purya, and so many other ragas. And she experimented on various people, how it affects, and then she did the brain mapping. So this is one example where I was part of it, and I know that the studies are happening around. And Dattu was one of the students who was part of that experiment. He was made to listen, and then the brain mappings were done, and he said it helped. So you can contact him about it. And even otherwise, I have the book that I have written, the Prahara, is although it's a fictional story, but there also I have mentioned about raga therapy, because that's a strong thing. There are many experiments, even in Western music. Even in some ashrams, I have seen the cows, Goshala. They're made to listen to classical music every day, and they produce more milk. So there's several examples that ragas and classical music have that potential to heal and inspire and nurture and so many things. Yeah. So most of the people that I meet generally, since you are from yoga background, they always say that long alaps and profound without the percussion. That is what they prefer, and it helps them concentrate, meditate. And I came across a person from USA who said he can levitate listening to my Darbari Kannada. So there are people who stand by those things. So raga definitely has that quality, therapy quality. Okay, let's look at some of the questions. How can we practice speed in Alankar? The answer is in your question: practice. So you just have, see many people keep asking me questions related to performance, how to increase speed, how to perform better, whatever. This, the most difficult and most the easiest answer is practice. You just have to devote a lot of time. All the legends that you listen to are legends because they spent a lot of time. Just by attending class here and then going back and not touching your flute till the next class won't help. What you learn here is a homework for the next week or so. So this is for vocal students as well. Everybody comes here, learns, and then they're busy playing cricket and on their mobiles. But you have to dedicate 1 hour every day at least to practice and practice. Okay? So that is the mantra. You have to spend a lot of time practicing, only then you will be able to achieve more and more. How to hold breath while playing a swara? How to hold breath? Okay, probably how to sustain is what they're asking. Okay, to sustain, as I said, you inhale and exhale uniformly. And I don't know if this might help for the flutist as well as the vocalist. What you can try to do is put water in a glass, put a straw inside it, and try to blow. Make sure the bubbles are uniform, which means you are blowing in a stable way. So you inhale, and as long as you can exhale, try to exhale uniformly. It helps sustain your, there will be a stability when you play or sing. How to practice tutkar or tonguing in bansuri? So what we call a staccato So it's basically saying tu 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 tu, not my me, only tu tu. So keep saying tu 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 tu, and then also keep saying tu ku tu ku. So when you increase the speed, then it becomes the fast jhala. So on and so forth. So for that, also hold the note and use your tongue multiple times. Say sa, say tu and ku, tu ku 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 tu ku. Then there are other syllables also that we use. We say turu tutu. And in Kannada, generally I say huchuchara. Huchuchara, 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 huchuchara. If you do that, then it's easy to get the staccato. Huchu means madness. So it's basically about madness. The whole music thing is itself madness. So if you are not mad about music, then you won't forget the tutkar. You will not get music at all. So you have to be really crazy about music to practice all this. Crazy in the sense you have to be so passionate about it. How does second and fourth sounds different in Hindustani and Carnatic flute? What is this 2H, 4H, 2 whole 4 also? 2 ಎರಡನೇ ಮನೆ ನಾಲ್ಕನೇ ಮನೆನ 2 sharp 4 sharp. I'm sorry I didn't get this. Please DM. Send me a personal message. I should be able to answer this. I don't understand what this is. This is by Ramesh. Okay. Next question is, sir, please advise on finger placements of Komal Swaras. Yeah. So when you're playing Komal Swaras, there are two techniques. One is to close the hole from above. Like for example, Komal Re, I'm closing the hole from above. The other way is to close it from the sides. In either case, the important thing is half of the hole should be closed, which means 50% of it should be open and 50% should be closed. And then to get the right pitch, based on the raga, we either take the flute inside and blow hard, or we just manage it with the fingers, like. So if you observe, whenever I'm playing Komal Re, I bow down my head so that the Komal Re can go up to Ati Komal Re. So those are the techniques that we use for Komal Swaras. Then please advise, okay, which is your favorite raga? How long do you practice? See, I have several favorite ragas, but when I was learning under my father, when I was in my teens, I used to practice Todi in the morning and Yaman in the evening. So Yaman has been my favorite for many years because I still believe Yaman. I have not learned Yaman completely. I'm still learning, so there are several possibilities. So right now, Yaman is still my favorite. Yeah, I've covered everything. Anything else? Okay.
The position of swaras and how to learn them actually,
See,
along with the ragas, whatever we are learning here.
the easiest way to understand the swaras and the distance between them is, see, I used to do a program called Raga Ranjani where I used to keep a chart of a keyboard and then show that this is the Shuddha Swara, this is the Komal Swara, and this is how away it is from Sa and all that. So the easiest way, I think, and all of you can afford is buy a small keyboard, electronic keyboard, and then let the child identify the 12 notes out of it. And they don't have to actually sing or train in vocal, but identifying the swara, it is helpful if you have something like that, either a harmonium or a keyboard. So like what I did now, Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. If the child knows some song, let him try to identify the swaras on the keyboard. Then he'll know the distance, how far it is, and if it is Komal Swara or Shuddha Swara. And then that helps in the flute also.
Yeah, just like when you ask question, many of them went wrong. So that means their level of understanding is not where it should be. So maybe one class or something to focus on that.
Exactly. That is why we are doing this master class, and we'll continue to do this to impart such important things,
Correct,
the
sir.
basics.
Correct.
So, but on as a parent, I advise you to do that. Feed them with the songs and ask them to identify. So these things should happen beyond the class also.
Correct, sir.
Only then they will be able to improve automatically.
Yeah, I insist him a lot, but he does not.
Yeah, I know. And that's a universal problem. That's why I said classes are only we give directions. You students have to sit and practice. You have to devote a lot of time, whether they're children or grown-ups or professional students, whoever it is. The more time you spend, the better for your music. So it's always it's an integral part of learning, right? Even if it is a hobby, we don't expect all of you to become professionals and legends, but to be at least able to enjoy better, to appreciate better, you have to practice and understand music. So have that in your mind. Don't think that you have to perform and win awards and recognition. That comes if it has to. But basically what we are training you people is to understand the beauty of Indian classical music and the benefits that come along with them, and making you better listeners of tomorrow. So when you go to a concert, and make it a point to attend concerts, that is very important. The more you attend, the more you learn. The more questions you have, the more you prosper, the more you grow. So make that as a habit, listening habit. If you can't attend live concerts, at least listen to recordings and try to understand and analyze what you're listening to. That will also help. Okay, so whatever songs you rhymes, or for the children I'm saying, whatever songs you'll practice in your school, they teach you in your school, try to write the swaras for it. If it is wrong, no problem, show it to your teacher, your music teacher here. They'll guide you if it is right or wrong. So that way you can improve your swara sense. Circular breathing. Yeah, that was the last part. See, the circular breathing, this is also, I believe, a part of our own tradition. Circular breathing is basically when you are able to exhale continuously. Okay, so generally what happens, you inhale through your nose and you exhale through your nose, but when you are playing an instrument, you exhale through your mouth. So you store in your lung and you exhale. And then when you need fresh breath, you again inhale from your nose. So what a circular breathing is, you inhale and exhale at the same time. Try doing it. Inhale with your nose and exhale with your mouth simultaneously at the same time. It's difficult, right? You cannot, because your body is not trained like that. You either or you can inhale with your mouth. You take air inside, but you cannot do it simultaneously. Like inhale and exhale at the same time. That is what is circular breathing. And to do that, what we do is we store a little bit of air in our cheeks and use that as our reservoir while we inhale. So, while I inhale, I also exhale using this. But for flute, you cannot store air in your cheeks because it's an open wind instrument, open mouth instrument. So your lips are open, so you cannot store here. So it will go out. So we store it here and then use it as a reservoir. What I do is I use circular breathing in a in a rhythmic way. So this is based out of what I heard from a folk instrument called alagoja, where they use two straight flutes, they put it in their mouth and they store here sound, and an entire song of 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, they play without taking a breath, the music doesn't stop at all. So they're inhaling through their nose but using their cheeks as reservoir. That is how they play algoja. You can search algoja in YouTube and you can see wonderful videos. The same technique I'm using for my flute. So it can go infinite. I mean, it depends on how you want to use it. So this is circular breathing, and I think I'm the first one to introduce it in Hindustani classical music. People get distracted by my one hand playing, but it's not about one hand. It's basically about my breath. Okay, so well, we come to the close of the first Baitak here at Sanjog Bansuri Mahavidyalaya. Thank you all for joining us. You've been wonderful students. And thanks to all the senior students of Sanjog Bansuri Mahavidyalaya who helped me in organizing this Baitak. And this is going to be a regular feature featuring many other artists apart from our students. This is also a platform for young and budding talents from our institute. I would like to thank the parents also who came here to attend this workshop. And there are a couple of announcements. On the 21st of May, we have a painting exhibition by one of the trustees of Sanjog Charitable Trust, and incidentally my wife, Sarika Pravin Godkhindi. Her first exhibition, Sarika along with Kishore Medappa, they are going to present their first exhibition, solo exhibition of paintings. So this event is happening at Kuvempu Kalakshetra in Bangalore from 4 p.m. onwards. And I will be performing along with my band from 5:30 onwards. So this event is happening at the Kuvempu Kalakshetra. I invite all of you to be there to enjoy the paintings and also to enjoy the music. Thank you. And as I mentioned earlier, my latest novel, Prahar, The Singing Clock, both in Kannada, Haduva Gadiara, and English, The Singing Clock, are available in the market. You can purchase them. And for all the music students, a book written by my father, Raga Ranga Pravesha, which describes all the ragas along with the Lakshan Geet. He has created Lakshan Geet in Kannada, so which describes the ragas, the grammar of the ragas, Vadi, Samvadi, Arohana, Avrohana, Varjaswaras, what time to sing. These are called Lakshan Geet. He has written Lakshan Geet for so many ragas, and it is available with us. You can buy the books, and also it comes along with the CD, the demo CD. So you can buy this. You can contact Sanjog Bansuri Mahavidyalaya Facebook page for this book, which is very helpful. And this is for the students of Sanjog Bansuri Mahavidyalaya, all the students. September 9th is going to be our Guru Vandana concert. So all of you have to be prepared, keep yourself free, and you all have to be participating in this event, which is happening on September 9th. So thanking you all. Thanks to all the online viewers for supporting our endeavor here. Thank you so much, and hope to see you all soon in the Baithak series. Thank you so much. Namaskar. God bless you.